Welcome back to the Ageism Survival Guide, the show where we talk honestly about navigating work, identity, and reinvention after 50. I'm John Steck, and today we're diving into a practical topic that every job seeker over 50 needs to understand: the modern resume and its impact. If you haven't updated your resume in 10, 20, or even 30 years, this episode is going to be a game changer. Because the resume you used in the 1990s or even in the early 2000s, it's simply not going to survive today's hiring systems. And I mean that literally. Many older resumes get rejected before a human even sees them, even if the applicant is actually qualified. When I left the corporate world in 2020, I didn't know any of this, and I learned the hard way until I studied up on the modern resume. Today, I'm going to walk you through what's changed in resume writing since the 1990s. Trust me, it's a lot. How to format your resume for the applicant tracking system, or the ATS. How to age-proof your resume without actually hiding who you are. And the most important resume strategies for getting interviews after 50. If you're watching the video version of this episode, I'll show you my own before and after. My old resume from the early 2000s, an attempt to be fancy with formatting in 2020, and finally, my own modern resume. And I still use this one today for consulting opportunities. Let's get into it. But before I forget, I want to make sure that you click subscribe below so that you don't miss any of these important how-tos for workers in their 50s and 60s. Let's start with section 1. What's changed since the 1990s? A lot, I already said. Let's start with the big picture. The resume, it used to be a career autobiography. You listed every job you ever had, every responsibility you ever had, and every tool you ever touched. You wrote about your job roles in long paragraphs, and you possibly had 3, even 4 pages. That was normal. Your LinkedIn probably looks the same, reflecting every aspect of your job description. But today, the resume is a marketing document. It's not about your entire career. It's about the value that you can deliver right now to a company that has a specific problem that you can address. And here's the biggest shift. Most resumes, they're never seen by a human being. That's right. You can submit 100 applications on a job board, and perhaps a small handful will have a human being looking at them. Instead, they're scanned by an applicant tracking system, an ATS, which filters out candidates before a recruiter even opens the file. And this can even happen to applicants who are actually qualified, but who have poorly constructed resumes. I was in that boat in 2020, I'm sure. In the 1990s, a recruiter sat at a desk with a stack of paper. Today, an algorithm decides whether you move forward in the process. That means that your resume, it needs to be keyword rich, with words taken directly from the job description. It's got to be machine readable for the ATS. It needs to be minimalist for both the ATS and for a fast scanning human. It needs to be focused on accomplishments, not responsibilities. And lastly, it's got to be custom tailored for each and every application. If you're watching the video version today, I'm going to put my oldest resume on the screen now. It's from 2010 because I must have thrown out my floppy disks from the 1990s. Look at this thing. It's a wall of text, big paragraphs. It has my full address. It has jobs from the early 90s. It's basically a historical document. But I do have to admit, I was already putting in accomplishments, not only responsibilities. Then look at how I went astray. I was given a format by a friend who was in a more creative field. So I threw out my old 1990s format and I tried this new one in early 2020. It looked beautiful and creative, but wow, was it even worse from a modern perspective. The ATS couldn't read across the columns. The full mailing address was still in there, and the columns ended up soaking up valuable space from entering more accomplishments. It was a disaster, and I didn't even know it at that moment. That's when An experienced recruiter from one of my former employers saved me. Thank you, Dawn. After chiding me for my terrible resume, she sent me a modern ATS readable format. She taught me about accomplishments versus experience. She coached me on the skills listing and on keywords, and she helped me pare it down to the essential time frame, not a full history of my adult employment. Now, compare that creative disaster to my modern resume. Clean, simple, one column, a strong professional summary, a skills section, accomplishment-driven bullet points, no paragraphs, no dates that reveal my age, and it's optimized for ATS scanning. This is the transformation we're aiming for today. It's a learning process, and my own resume today is probably not perfect. Now for section 2, modern formatting essentials and what the heck is an ATS? Before we talk about formatting, we need to define something that many job seekers over 50 may have never heard of, or they heard of it but don't fully understand. What the heck is an ATS? Well, ATS stands for an applicant tracking system. It's software that employers and recruiters use to collect resumes from job boards. They organize applicants in their database. They automatically filter candidates. We don't like that part. They search for keywords, the ones that I'll talk about shortly, and they rank resumes based on relevance to the role being advertised. Think of it as a giant, digital filing system combined with a search engine. When you apply for a job online, your resume doesn't go to a person. It goes to the ATS database. The recruiter then just types in keywords like project management or customer service or CRM tools or budgeting or leadership. And the ATS then pulls up resumes that contain those exact terms for the job or jobs that the recruiter is currently filling. If your resume doesn't match the keywords, the system may never show your application to a human being. That's why ATS-friendly formatting and keyword optimization are essential for older workers. Now, let's talk about formatting, because this is where most older resumes, they just fall apart. Let's start with what's out. No more text boxes, no tables, no multiple columns. Remember my disaster? Graphics and icons, no more. Fancy fonts, nope. Headers and footers, no. Objective statements, not anymore. And no more full mailing addresses. These elements, they confuse the ATS systems. They break the parsing process, and they make your resume basically unreadable to the software. And if the software can't read it, well, no human being ever will. Now, let's cover what's in. A clean, single column layout. Standard fonts like Calibri or Arial. Clear section headings. Simple bullet points. A short, keyword-rich professional summary. A skills section whose keywords match the job description. And a link to your LinkedIn profile is in there too. Think of your resume like a modern website. It's clean, it's simple, it's mobile-friendly, and easy to scan. Nothing fancy, just pragmatic. If you're watching the video version today, I'll zoom in on the formatting differences between my old resume and my new one. You'll see how much easier the modern version on the right is to read. No more paragraphs, only bullet points with accomplishments. Let's move on to section 3, ATS optimization. How to get past that algorithm. Now that you know what an ATS is, let's talk about how to beat it, or rather, how to work with it. If you know how the machine works, you'll need to think like the machine. Or in the immortal words from Caddyshack, be the ball. ATS software, it will scan your resume for keywords and job titles, skills, certifications, and relevant experience. If your resume doesn't match the job description along any of those factors, the system simply filters you out and no human will ever see your resume. So here's how to optimize for the ATS. First, use keywords directly from the job posting. Pick out the ones that are important to the role. If the job says project management, use project management. If it says CRM tools, use CRM tools, assuming, of course, that you have the skills they reference. Second, use standard section titles so that the ATS isn't confused. Summary and skills and experience and education and certifications. Third, spell out acronyms at least once. CRM, customer relationship management. Fourth, save your resume as .docx. All ATS can read this. PDF is okay, but only if the poster says that PDF is okay. Because if the ATS can't read it, you may never know that, and your application could be a complete waste of time. Fifth, avoid anything decorative. ATS systems, they can't read icons or graphics or text inside of shapes, so just stick to simple black and white text. Boring, but effective. Six, use modern job titles when appropriate. If your title was personnel manager in the 90s, update it to HR manager. But it's 2026 now, so you shouldn't have any titles going back to the 90s anyway. More on that later. Finally, let's test that new resume of yours. When ATSs score your resume, they'll assign a number between 1 and 100. The higher, the better. And 80 is generally the minimum that gets your resume accepted and potentially shared with a human. There are some online resources that offer you a free scoring test of your new resume. I don't have a business relationship with this one, but I've personally used it in the past, about 6 years ago. It's called resumeworded.com. They'll allow you a few test scans of your resume just to optimize your scoring, see where you stand. I'll put the link below in the notes. Look, ATS optimization, it's not cheating. It's simply speaking the language of the software that screens your resume. If you don't speak the machine's language, your application and your resume, it will simply be lost in translation and in cyberspace, never reaching human hands. Next, in section 4, let's talk about age concealment strategies that are both ethical and effective. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, age bias. That's why I created this channel in the first place. So what do we do about it during the application process? Well, you don't need to lie about your age. In fact, well, you shouldn't lie. You just need to stop volunteering information that triggers bias. Here are some tips to age-proof your resume. First, remove graduation dates. If your degree is older than 15 to 20 years, the date is irrelevant. Just list the school on the degree. Second, limit your work history to the last 12 to 15 years, maximum. That means 2011, based on today's date, should be the first thing that shows up. This is standard practice for everybody, not only older workers. 3, create an additional experience section. Here you can list early career roles or notable relevant accomplishments without dates. It probably goes after your job roles, but before your education listing. 4th, update any outdated job titles. Use the modern equivalent. For example, like I said, it used to be personnel, then it became human resources, and now it seems to be people. I guess it depends on the company. 5, remove outdated skills. If it timestamps, you delete it. Things like fax machines, Lotus Notes, WordPerfect, out. Slide rules? Banished. If you're working on AI or other tech skills, those should be the ones that are in there. 6, use a modern email address like Gmail or Outlook. I hate to tell you this, but AOL, Hotmail, Yahoo, and Comcast, these scream older candidates, and they're going to immediately trigger age bias, really. 7, avoid age-revealing language. Don't put in there 30 years of experience or seasoned professional or veteran leader. No, instead, focus on your value, your impact, and your results. These should line up exactly with what the employer is looking for in the job description. They're looking for someone that will solve a key set of issues. Describe yourself as that person. Next up is section 5. What do today's resumes actually emphasize? The modern resume, it's all about accomplishments. So in the old style, responsible for managing a team of 10. Well, in the modern style, led a team of 10 to increase customer retention by 18%. See the difference? It's subtle, but it's really important because one is a job description and the other is a business result. It demonstrates that you can accomplish something. It then follows, of course, that modern resumes, they emphasize accomplishments. What did you do? Metrics. Put some numbers in to share the context. The impact. What did you bring the company? Skills. Keep them modern and relevant to the job. And keywords. You need to nail these. They got to come directly from the job description. Then modern terminology. Don't use outdated terms. Adaptability. Demonstrate your ability to handle change, like we covered in the last video, which I'll tag here. And technology comfort. Show that you have an understanding of modern tech tools. Finally, your resume should answer one question. What can you deliver today to an employer who has a specific need? Now, let's cover section 6, tips to increase interview chances after 50. Let's wrap up with the most important strategies for older job seekers. These are the important make it or break it steps you'll need to nail. First, tailor every resume to each job application. Every single one. Generic resumes, they rarely pass ATS filters. You can have one that you use as a base, but each one to each company needs to be unique to that application because the keywords are unique to each job. 2, show adaptability. Highlight new tools, certifications, remote work experience, and digital skills that you've acquired. Show that you can continue to learn and grow, but don't overdo it. Don't list everything you've done in the last couple of years. Just keep it relevant. 3, keep it concise. 1 page is ideal. 2 pages, okay. But remember, it's not a catalog of your entire adult career. It's an advertisement to the employer that you are the person that can solve the problem that they have. 4, modernize your language. Use current industry terminology. Don't dig out old terms. For example, the words dial-up internet, they are fully banned from your vocabulary. 5th, strengthen your LinkedIn profile. Recruiters, they will cross-check your resume with your profile. There will be a completely separate episode that I'll dedicate to diving into LinkedIn and bringing that to your full advantage. 6, focus on value, not tenure. You're not selling your age, you're selling your impact. Through the keywords, be sure to tell them why you are the right person to solve their need. I hope this has all been clear and sets you up for creating a killer resume. Try it on your own at first, but if you feel uncomfortable, of course, you can always hire a professional service to do it. Just bear in mind that can be pricey. Let's wrap it up. Your resume, it's not a lifetime biography. It's a strategic, age-neutral, keyword-optimized marketing tool that's designed to get you past the algorithm and into the interview room. If you're watching the video version today, I'll again leave both resumes on screen one more time so you can compare the disastrous old with the new. I mean, just look at that poorly formatted horror show on the left and in the middle. You've got to avoid those and get your resume right. Thanks for joining me today on the Ageism Survival Guide. If this episode helped you, please share it with someone else that you know that is navigating the job search after 50. And remember, you're not starting over, you're starting smarter. You can also join the conversation or ask questions or share about your resume on the Discord app. The link for that can be found in the notes down below. As I always say, youth runs fast, but age, we know the terrain. See you next time.